Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. Happy Friday, everybody. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about this Acoustic Wave KO, Fanstoys KO of their Soundwave, and the implications that this could have. This could potentially change everything and really could have some good and a lot of bad. We've already seen two figures get knocked off from Fanstoys, and they're actually pretty decent and for less than half the price of the original. So how long is this going to go on? What more is going to come? We're going to talk about this. Little bit of speculation. When I first heard this, I had so many questions and didn't get a whole lot of them answered yet, but we're going to talk about this coming up. Alright, so what's going on with this KO stuff? Basically, what I'm hearing, the designers didn't feel like they were being paid by Fanstoys well enough or weren't fully compensated for their work, and they had felt they had rights to their work and their designs and left and are making their own separately, two separate companies. So the Thomas is from an RB, and then they put out a Quietus with the company, the MH. That's as simple as it gets. I don't really know the details on that stuff. But the one that made Thomas, I thought was better than the Quietus version. The Quietus version was still good, it's still great, but its looser tolerances and the paint wasn't quite as great. Of course, I have to say, Thomas is a matte finish versus a super shiny finish, so, I mean, Fanstoys, the official, is still a little bit better than both of these, but not much better than Thomas. Thomas, the MH, no, the RB, it's got to get all straight, is going to be making this new Acoustic Wave. They're going to call it Sonic Wave, I believe. So anyway, with that though, these are both great figures. Both companies do a pretty decent job. One a little bit better than the other, but at the end of the day, I'm happy to have them both. A lower price point, I thought 100, they're like 125 to this Sonic Wave is going to be 140. There's also going to be a Lupus coming from, it's going to be DTO1. So is that a third company? I don't know. I actually don't know. DTO1. So is there a third company? So there's three people? I don't know. Anyhow, I have it pre-ordered and all this stuff. I'm looking forward to this, and I've never had this before, so I look forward to this. I've got an official one pre-ordered, and that's the other thing. So we're going to get into the positives here before we get into the negatives. The positive is this is forcing Fanstoys to reissue older figures they had no intention of reissuing. They would have not reissued these if these designers did not run off and make their own. Or, you know what, maybe that's not even the real story. Maybe they just flat out got stolen by somebody, somehow, some way. Before we get any deeper, this is the standard version of Quietus is getting remade by the MH01. Same ones that made Quietus before, they're making this one in the standard colors. I will try to link all this stuff down below for you, of course. But it's pretty interesting that they're starting to do the variations. So this causes a lot of questions. All of this stuff going on right now causes a lot of questions. At first it was like, these are just old figures Fanstoys refused to reissue. Now they're reissuing them because they're getting knocked off. It didn't seem like a big deal at first, but Acoustic Wave is pretty new. It's November of 2021. So I'm going to kind of get into this positive aspect of it. KOs give people that missed out or people that chose not to spend $220 on the official and then another $130 or something on the cassettes, they get another option. Now I thought this was going to be $100. It's going to be $140 at TF Direct. TF Direct, and I think by Primus should have it, and there's maybe one other place, but I've already got a relationship with TF Direct, and I know I'm going to get it, and I know I trust them, and so that's where it's at. I used to do reviews for TF Direct, so no big deal. I like them. I don't have a problem with them at all, so I just want to say that, put that out there. Now, you are going to be missing Rumble, the blue one, so if you think the red one's Rumble, then great, you're feeling good here. But I like the Blue Rumble. That's my favorite. So I'll be missing the Blue Rumble in this. I've got the official, so it's not a big deal. But I wish they would have included it. It doesn't seem like it would be a big deal to have included it. But look you get 3 cassettes and this for $140 when the original, which is one cassette, was it 1 or 2 cassettes that came with the original? Well, the original one was $220 or $230 when it first came out. And of course, this is going to cause Fanstoys to reissue this. This is just what Fanstoys does. We're going to get out in front of this and we're going to reissue this. But that is actually a positive, a plus, and a minus and a negative. But is this an indicator? So with Fanstoys just out of the blue, we're going to reissue Sovereign M for the, which I thought was limited, by the way. I thought this was a limited release, yet again, and again, and again. So Now that they're reissuing Sovereign, which those are up for pre-order for reissues, does that mean that one of these KOs are going to KO this next? Is that an indicator that it's going to get KO'd again? Or is it just the fact that they recently reissued it not too long ago, so let's go ahead and just put it back out again? I really have no idea what's going on. But one of the problems with this is they could be reissuing stuff that people really want. So a lot of people say they still want this spotter. I feel like it's dated. It is. I have it. I think it's dated. But it's still the best option that's ever been made. It's the best looking, most G1 accurate spotter that's out there. I think it was KFC. Well, I believe it's KFC that made one that is really good too. It's pretty close. This still beats it in the end. Side by side, it beats it. If you don't have the side by side, the KFC looks fantastic. And I believe it was Make Toys that made another one, and that's not a bad one. It's just, someone's got to be a winner, and there's got to be one that's better than the others, from my perspective. So with this, I heard Fanstoys mold broke, or there's a degradation, a problem with it. I know they didn't make 100,000 of them. They probably barely made 5,000 of them, maybe 4,000 of them. Who knows? But this is a very hard figure to get. Well, set of figures to get. Will this get knocked off? See, if Fanstoys mold's broken, then these new companies are making new molds, right? So they got to make their own mold, and they have the designs. Why would they make this? They make this. But if Fanstoys is reissuing stuff just to keep up with the third-party ones, they probably wouldn't mess with this. They would probably go to a 2.0 like they did with Tesla. See, the Tesla mold had issues. Well, and let me tell you, Tesla's 1.0s had issues. If you got an unbroken 1.0 Tesla, you got a valuable piece. Well, valuable to you, I guess. But anyway, a rare piece, because those had a lot of problems. And so I don't think Spotter had a lot of problems, but the mold's broken. And so I would see a 2.0 Spotter coming from Fanstoys eventually. And maybe they won't call it Spotter, but maybe they will. And I could see Fanstoys need to reissue their dynos. So it starts making some questions here. Will these KOs knock off the dynos? Since we're seeing repaints, are we going to get the different color variations of these repaints? Are these too out there and obscure for them to want to do? So there's a lot of questions about this. A whole lot of questions in my mind that just pop in when I see this. And we're just touching the tip of the iceberg on the questions in my mind. And it is just crazy. It's exciting. It's fun. A little scary, though. So another one of the questions that rolls around in my head when I think about this, how low of price point is too low of a price point for them to knock off? Like Outrider went up, and recently the Hoist is out, and so with all of that, would they bother knocking those off? Is it worth their time? These are still relatively readily available. You could get them at most distributors for at or below the MSRP, which there really is no MSRP, but we're not going to get into that in this video. So when you think about this, why would they knock this off if it's still readily available? Why would they go after this? I think they're going after the bigger ticket items. They're going to make the reproductions of the bigger ticket items that cost more at a lower price, and that's the way I see it going. But would they go after really hot items and make 20 or 30,000 of them? So Parkour is not out yet. And they could make Parkour and then make Bumblebee before Fanstoys makes Bumblebee. There's a bunch of questions. Like, if they've got all of the designs already, what's stopping them? Like, literally, what's stopping them? Do they have to wait for Fanstoys to put it out so they can say they knocked it off? Why do they not beat Fanstoys to the punch? There's so many questions here. If they're really knocking off something so fresh and new, it's strange, isn't it? So you think about when we come out with Recorder, Blaster, and which is similar, very, very, very similar to what's going on right now with the Acoustic Wave, or what they're going to call Sonic Wave. And let's say they have an old design and what they had a year ago. Fanstoys tweaks the design, and so we get a recorder put out by Fanstoys, then we get a knockoff of this recorder from one of these KO companies, and the parts are different. It's slightly different. The transformation varies slightly different, and which one would be better? I mean, there's so many questions here. The implications behind this are so great. And again, I'm not against KO. I'm just being a realist. I look at both sides of every issue. And I think about it. I'm not one-sided, unilaterally stuck in one way of thinking. I like thinking about both sides of the situation, both sides of the coin. And when it comes to this, what's going to happen in the future? What about the cassettes? The They're already making cassettes, so obviously they could pack it all in, have it a way lower price, way cheaper price. Would this cause a price war with Fanstoys in the future? I mean, that would be a good thing. Bring those prices down to a normal level. Would it cause a higher production rate for Fanstoys? Or is this going to cause us to go backwards? Backwards to where Fanstoys wanted their stuff to be ultra scarce with the false scarcity? Now, what if Fanstoys never puts out Hannibal in US Deco? Could these KO companies take the Hannibal? They have the rights to the designs in their mind and just repaint it and put a different head on it? Or heck, even with the same head, just have it repainted to match the US Deco? Or do these designers even care about that? Are they looking at it from this angle? Or is this something that they're just commissioned to make it? But I worked on it, I made it, so let's go ahead and make it. Or are they the ones that have the brilliance in design that's going on that could go further with it? And would there be a battle on this big beast? So, like, all of these questions that I have, and maybe I'm going too far with it, maybe I'm reading too deep into it, maybe I'm thinking a little bit too much about it, but I'm actually excited and a little bit nervous about the future and what's going to happen with Fanstoys and what's going to come out of it. We just recently seen the coming soon video for Phantasm, and Jive is going to come out by the end of the year. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing now. Now I'm hearing it. So with that, will these get knocked off? I don't know. I really don't know. And so this could cause a lot of people to go, should I wait for the KO of Fanstoys? So here's another negative for the collector. Let's say you wait for the Fanstoys on these two, or the KO of Fanstoys, and you pass the official, and you wait for the KO, and then the KO never comes out. And then Fanstoys doesn't reissue these for 5 years, and then you're like, $300 on eBay. So that's another negative, which for me, I'm still keeping up with one reissue, or new issue, I'm sorry, of Fanstoys as it comes out. And then I jump on a KO to kind of see the difference. It's a lot of fun to do it like that. But I think what's going to happen here is that Fanstoys is starting to become extremely diluted instead of extremely rare and false scarcity or even real scarcity. They're diluted. And with that, the resellers are not buying 20 of each. Now, I don't know if you've seen posts where someone's like, I got 20 of these, and I'm selling them for, $20 more than everyone else, or $50 more than everybody else, and they sell out like that. But those people aren't doing it anymore. I don't see those posts as much as I used to, and I see Fanstoy stuff staying in stock months, and clearances and discounts and all this kind of stuff. It's the state of the world today and the economy and stuff, but still, I think we're losing a lot of those resellers that were out there. And like, I personally occasionally bought a second Fanstoys. They're not cheap, so I mean, I'm not throwing around money like that, but I would get a second one of one I really, really liked. But these days, I'm not anymore. I'm waiting for a KO for my second one. How far down the future rabbit hole will this affect Fanstoys? Is this going to be a prolonged, ongoing thing forever? With all of the designs they've been working on for years. Because, it takes years for these designs from start to finish. So for the most part, for them to even reveal something like this, they've been working on it for at least a year, most of the time. This isn't something they put together in 5 minutes. And so with that, do designers that left, if it truly was designers that left, do they have rights to it? And if it was stolen, well, they don't care. If they stole the design, they really don't care. So with all of this that's going on, the future of Fanstoys is kind of rocky. People will still buy the official Fanstoys over KOs. There's a large amount of people out there like that, but that's barely half of the collector market that would buy it in the first place. So Fanstoys could struggle going forward because of these KOs. I admit that. So I want to hear what everybody else thinks about this. Now that you've heard what's going on in my head when I think about this, what are you thinking about Fanstoys getting knocked off? And I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to say, well, it serves them right for charging too much. It serves them right for the artificial scarcity piece that they did for years. It serves them right for raising their price when other companies didn't raise it as much. So The premium price might come off of these down the road. Who knows? But I like to hear what you think. Like and subscribe, and Tidarium Hanger out.